So, like I said, good afternoon, everybody. Uh, what I'd like to talk about is some of the highlights from the OTAs and the interview this morning that was conducted with the beat writers of the Miami Dolphins and Coach Brian Flores. So, to get into that, uh, let's start here. Uh, this morning, uh, Flores had, like I said, a press conference with Brian with the beat writers and Brian Flores, and uh, the gist of it was that you know Brian Flores is looking for leaders. He realizes that there is a lack of veteran leadership on the team due to the fact that uh, Ted Karras, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Kyle Van Noy, Bobby McCain have all left the team either through wanting to leave or not being not being retained, not having their contracts extended. So uh, there is a leadership void that needs to be filled, and uh, Flores had a very good way of determining who those leaders are. It's an ongoing process. Uh, his plan is to put certain players in positions where they need to speak up, and if they do, they'll assume a little bit more leadership. If not, somebody else will. But you never can force somebody to be a leader. They either have it or they don't, and uh, you can put somebody in that situation, and if they don't have the leadership qualities and not a stand-up person, then they're not going to be a good leader. And leadership can be done in many different ways. It could be somebody who's boisterous, who is a good talker, good communicator, or it could be somebody who uh, is basically quiet person, understated, but when they do speak, their voice carries volume to it. So uh, Flores is looking forward to having that develop over time. And believe me, between the mini camp that's upcoming and training camp, you will be able to see that developed. What's up there, Flipside Fishing? How you doing? I will drop the link, and we'll get you uh, get you in so we can have a conversation. Just give me 1 second, and let me know if that works for you, Flipside, and we'll begin a conversation. Uh, while he's clicking on the link, I'm going to continue with a little bit more of the conversation. Flores also spoke about Jerome Baker. Uh, he said that when asked what did Jerome Baker need to do to improve upon his status, improve as a player, uh, Flores said that he had done a lot of the things to improve. That he was a a very good player. That he uh, has been working at it since he's been there, and he continues to improve. Uh, and he's looking forward to having him this year on the team. Uh, One of the notes from OTA was that linebacker. Then this is all these notes are taken from uh, Barry Jackson and Adam Beasley of the Miami Herald, where they said that linebacker Jerome Baker said he hasn't discussed a long-term contract with the Dolphins, but Baker did say I love it here and would like to play here for the rest of my career, end quote. So Baker's saying the right thing so far to be able to uh, stay in good graces with the team. Uh, but uh, no contract talks have been initiated at this time, and that's a situation that is developing. Uh, Baker's Jerome Baker's in the last year of his contract, along with Jasecki and Pollard and Will Fuller and Ogba and Grant, and they're all going to be looking to be put in situations where they'll be able to have important impact to the team's success, so they can take that impact and flip it into some money. But that's to be determined. I'm sure that uh, Greer has his plan of what he wants to spend, and Baker's agent and Grant and Fuller and Palladay, they all have their idea of what they would like to uh, receive in compensation for their efforts. So a situation that is flowing, developing, and will be determined during the 2021 football campaign. Uh, Also, Flores spoke about the status of the team's uh, COVID vaccine COVID vaccine situation, and although he did state that he himself had been vaccinated, he didn't speak on anybody else, any of the players. Um, and since the coaches are under a situation where if they're not vaccinated, then they can't be around the players, and all the coaches have been around. It's probably safe to assume, even though there's no factual, concrete evidence, but that all the coaching staff, the Dolphins coaching staff, has been vaccinated. But the players, uh, Flores took the position that that's a personal uh, situation, and he wasn't going to speak on any particular player or players' status with respect to taking the COVID vaccine. Uh, so uh, that is also a situation that will be fluid, because I'm quite sure that with some of the NFL's meeting constraints, that if certain numbers of players or enough players aren't vaccinated, that makes travel and meetings a little bit more difficult. So um, and when asked that question, particularly, Flores said, well, it's a hypothetical right now, and then he's not going to deal with the hypothetical, but I'm sure that there will be some sort of plan put into place to accommodate and overcome that situation. Uh, Next thing I'd like to speak on was that somebody who has been here for a while, and I'm trying to look for it right this second. Um, Mike Dieter, and the interesting news with respect to Mr. Dieter was that he received a T-shirt from the strength and conditioning coach for the efforts that he and quite a few other players, Albert Wilson among others, received for their efforts in the strength and conditioning program. I'm trying to find where exactly it was at so that way I can read the quote. Uh, but yes, indeed, those players, Dieter and Wilson, among others, were acknowledged for their efforts in the strength and conditioning plan. Uh, Now, among those not at the voluntary, and I stress voluntary OTA today, were Mike Gesicki, Adam Shaheen, Xavier Howard, Emmanuel Agbar, and Michael Palardy, or Pilardi, excuse me, Pilardi. Uh, and among other things, something to give us Dolphin fans some encouragement for things in the future to come to fruition. Jalen Phillips recorded an interception on a Reed Sinet pass. Uh, you like the fact that he's getting more and more used to uh, the linebacker position. I know that's something that he played at UCLA before he transferred to Miami, University of Miami. But it's good to see that he has the awareness to be able to make his drop and have uh, the hands to make the interception. You want to have it where players can take advantage of all the situations that they are put into, and uh, sometimes those turnovers that aren't made could lead to more difficult situations. So if he's able to uh, flip the field with his hands and get the interception, that puts the offense in a much better position. Uh, Also up on the OTA notes for today was let me see if I can find it. Uh, that uh, Let's see if I can find this quote. Malcolm Perry was working on the sideline. He's one of the players that uh, may have had an injury and recuperating, along with Vince Beagle. He was also on the sideline, uh, but uh, I don't think that's anything to be too alarmed about right now. It's just more precaution, and uh, I look for big things to come from Mr. Beagle as well this year. Uh, Coming off of that Achilles injury, I think that uh, he's going to be that comeback player that uh, Andrew Van Ginkel was earlier or last year, excuse me, last year. Uh, Once again, there was no 11 on 11 work in practice, and the most players that was on the field at any one time during a drill was a 7-on-7s. Uh, there's still according to this reporter, that there is probably a three-person battle at center. I believe it will be as well between Matt Skura, Michael Dieter, and Cameron Tom. Uh, with Dieter getting stronger, and participating enthusiastically in the strength and conditioning program, maybe, just maybe, he can get that starting center position. I mean, we've been waiting for 3 years for him to assume a position on the offensive line, it would be uh, beneficial for him to step up and win the starting center position. Uh, Although they do have Matt Skura, veteran there, you would, as far as Deet is concerned, you would like to see him step up and be that starting center. Uh, and if he can, that would probably make it where the Dolphins next year wouldn't have to invest in a high draft pick on a center, uh, a day one or day two selection for at the center position. Since Matt Skura is on a 1 year contract, they may be able to get away with not investing in that high draft pick if Dieter could come in, step in, and be the starting center going forward for the Miami Dolphins. Uh, let's see. Oh, today is Raekwon Davis's birthday, so that's how the players concluded the practice today by singing "Happy Birthday" to Raekwon Davis. And as I said previously, um, the other player that was acknowledged by Dave Palooka, the strength and conditioning coach, was Mac Hollins. So Mighty Mac is getting built up even more. I mean, he already blocks better than some of the tight ends on the Dolphins roster, and he's a wide receiver. He's getting himself ready. He's probably gonna have a battle for the gunner position with the acquisition from Buffalo, Robert Foster, but that's to be seen as well. Will work itself out, and some things that I'd like to point out as well. That's in this article that you see the camaraderie developing between or with or in the running back room because both Miles Gaskin and Sullivan Ahmed were uh, doing running back position drills. So polishing their craft together, and that's a good thing because you don't want animosity in the room. Yes, you want competition, but you don't want animosity. And that's a good sign when you see uh, players that's at the same position working together after practice to polish up on position drills. That's a good thing. Uh, and also, uh, Christian Wilkins and Zach Seiler, they were doing sprints after practice. Now, how about those two big bodies coming at you uh, quickly, spiritedly at you? Um, they can those wind sprints. They help build endurance. So that's a good thing as well. Uh, and again, you like to see players developing camaraderie at the positions they play together. To see them not just being off on their own, and that's fine if they want to do it off their own. But when you're working together, that's a good thing. That's team building, and that's what this Dolphin team is going to be about. Which brings me back to Flores, where he was asked during the press conference, what is the status of the team right now? Would you classify it as still in a rebuilding mode or not? And he answered the question. But if I was answering that question, I would have said we are in the improvement process mode right now because the Dolphins have the players. Now they just need to improve their skills and communication in order to have a successful season. And I mean, when I say successful, I mean getting to the playoffs. That's what I'm talking about, getting to the playoffs. I mean, when you judge success for this team this year, most of the fan base, myself included, want to see the Dolphins get into the playoffs. We want to get that division title. We want to make that reign of the Buffalo Bills short and not sweet either, just short. So we want the improvement process to get kicked up a couple of notches so that the Dolphins can get that AFC East title, get into the playoffs, and do some damage to other teams. Uh, let's see if there's any other notes that we can talk about. Oh, there was one. I mean, this is really like this is ongoing. It's going to be ongoing most of the year as well. Uh, you know, whether or not Howard is happy with his contract, and what the negotiations or when the negotiations are going to start, and how they're gonna end up, whether or not uh, it ends with a new contract or whether he gets traded. And uh, I'm kind of torn. I love X, but I love the logo more. But if they can figure out a way to make it happen and make it work, that would be the best case scenario. But I know that they have Noah Igbenogany it on the bench. As far as the boundary cornerbacks are concerned, he did work out, and he has been receiving instruction from Jerry Alexander, who is the DB coach, on on working the slot. So he's learning that, so that way he can best understand both the slot and the boundary positions. And when he is in either one of those positions, he then can better communicate with his partner because he understands the responsibilities that the other position has. Uh, uh, but when you get back to Xavier Howard, whether or not he's going to uh, get a restructured deal, uh, that's gonna that's probably gonna work itself out. And uh, although Xavier Howard was absent from the voluntary organized team activity, according to the report, uh, that uh, absence should not be associated with Xavier Howard's desire for a new deal. Uh, Flores does expect every single player to be at next week's mandatory mini camp, and uh, I'm hopeful as well that everybody will be there. I mean, it would send a positive note throughout the team that uh, everybody's committed to the mission and committed to the improvement process. So that's to be determined. Uh, and although Xavier Howard wasn't there, again, don't take it as a contract dispute situation. Uh, uh, an update on Manu Agba. Agba remained away from the team and has been absent from all three voluntary sessions open to the media. Agba is set to earn 7.5 million in the second year of a 2-year contract and would like an extension. But all parties have declined to say whether his interest in a new contract is related to his absence. So again, players are choosing not to be there because it's voluntary, not necessarily because of their contract, but just because it's voluntary. So don't get don't get too heated as to whether somebody's there or not there. Uh, we'll see what happens next week when minicamp starts. Okay, and uh, Jarvis Davis was another one of the players that was working on the side with apparent injuries. But again, uh, don't take it like it's going to be something that's going to prevent them from being at mini camp or training camp. Uh, and uh, some of the persons that I've communicated with through other platforms have been high on Hollins. Uh, and just to give you a highlight on him, Mac Hollins made a stupendous sideline catch on a pass from Tunga Viola that was thrown into coverage. So uh, he's he's able to so far he's been able to make a positive impact with with his pass catching and his ability to hold on to the ball even when contact is imminent. And maybe some of that extra strength and conditioning that he's been doing is paying benefits. Uh, uh, Now I'd like to talk a little bit more about the linebacker situation. Uh, with Jalen Phillips being able to transition from defensive end to linebacker or going through the transition, uh, probably one of the most important things for him is to uh, recognize when and where he needs to drop in it for his coverage and uh, what his responsibilities are. I mean, it's been a couple of years since he's had to do that, and I know there was maybe some small possibilities where he did uh, some drops in zones during some zone blitzes. I don't know if University of Miami did that or not, but as a defensive end, sometimes you may be asked to do that. But as a linebacker, pass plays and you're on the field, sometimes you're expected to cover cover a hook zone. So you it'd be nice if he can get comfortable doing that. So that way, again, there isn't a tell with the defense. And I know that we already have one player on the offense that is uh, a pretty concrete tell with respect to what the Dolphins are doing with Jaceki and his lack of blocking. But uh, when you have a linebacker that can't do coverage, and I'm not saying that Jalen Phillips is that, I'm saying that I'm hopeful that he can be adept at making drops into zone coverage so that way there isn't a definite tell as to where the rush is coming from. Uh, I just wanted to take this time to talk with you for a little bit about what's been going on today with the Dolphins' final day of OTAs. I appreciate uh, all of the listeners. And remember, whether you're streaming or catching it on replay, hit that like button hit that like button and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Uh, Everybody stay safe. You know, it's a weekend, Friday. Don't get too inebriated. Relax, enjoy the time with the family. Kick back, be with your friends, but be safe out there. Be safe, okay? Go Dolphins! Go Dolphins! Go Dolphins! Go Dolphins! I had to do it.